and we never heard the thunder. It was a time of thunder and lightning. It was a time of dark clouds and storms on this small island in the Caribbean. Approaching forces of chaos were becoming too loud for a generous and optimistic population, a passionate people that, in their innocence, never really heard the warning thunder. The Cuban Republic, a nation that flourished in the warm Caribbean Sea in the 20th century, was a country of immigrants, established in 1902 with a common history, culture, and aspirations. A complex and diverse country full of dynamism, progress, and accomplishments. A country, though now in the throes of its growing pains, is still fighting for its right to exist, amidst one of the most severe existential crises ever to face a sovereign nation in this hemisphere. A newly released book, And We Never Heard the Thunder, a life marked by momentous changes and the Cuban Revolution by Luis Mejer Sarrat, is a perspective into this world, an insightful analysis of its colorful history and the life of its people. It gives you a glimpse into its last years when a chaotic, misguided communist revolution mortally wounded its very soul. This is an old historical image of the city of Havana in the 1920s as it appears on the book's cover. It shows the intersection of the iconic Paseo del Prado with the Malecón, a wide boulevard bordering Havana's coastline. The old colonial city in the Caribbean, founded in 1519, was about to be transformed into a new nation's vibrant, modern capital city. This book will take you into the exciting world of visionaries with great ambitions, who hired the best artists, architects, and urban planners of the time to work on the transformation of Havana in the 1920s. Infused with interesting history, perceptive analyses, and the angst of growing up amidst turbulent and paradigm-changing times, the narrative will also discuss the fates of several consequential families living in the Democratic Republic of Cuba. Although the book was written as an exploration of experiences lived in the Republic and the events that put its existence at peril, this book transcends the limitations of nationality to become a universal recognition of the fragility of freedom and the painful consequences of its loss. To add meaning to these investigations, the narrative was projected from 4 different angles, presented in 4 sections. Section 1. Survival of the Lost Generations. In this section, you will find insightful observations of our growing up in the Cuban Caribbean during the Republic, including interesting episodes during the early years of exile in Florida. It includes several topics relevant to the author's life as a young man. A long-forgotten incident at the internationally renowned bar-restaurant El Floridita in Havana in the 1950s, as 6 young teenagers meet for a memorable dinner, in which the meaning of the lost generations is defined. A coming-of-age educational experience, studying in the U.S. at the Lawrenceville School in the early 1950s. An insightful analysis of the maturing lessons of hard training at the Havana Yacht Club rowing boathouse in Havana as a teenager. Nostalgic recollections growing up in Caguama, a neighborhood of Varadero Beach in Cuba. Facing life as a young man, including marriage and family, and a venturesome escape into the enlightening worlds of art as an amateur photographer, of science as a professional biochemist, and of business as a landscape contractor. the remarkable and unexpected revelations during an original Cuban-American ecumenical family wedding in Miami, in which smuggled heirlooms from communist Cuba were used. An essay on Cuban tatas, or nannies, including a perceptive study of renowned Cuban author Lidia Cabrera and her tata, Tula. And the remarkable survival of Cuban education in exile in Florida, including a revealing testimony by Belen Jesuit student William Kindleman on the international education programs of Belen Jesuit High School, a highly influenced Cuban-American school in Miami. Section 2. In Search of Our Cuban Souls. This section addresses a nostalgic inquiry from the shores of a prolonged exile to rediscover our Cuban souls. It includes several topics invoking a voyage into nostalgia. A trilogy of in-depth essays on our cherished city of Havana, its eclectic architecture and compelling history. The consequential founding of Cuban cultural heritage in Miami in 1984 and its cultural preservation missions. The fascinating world of social clubs in Cuba, including the history of the Vedado Tennis Club in Havana. The island's ecology and biogeography, including Cuba's unique precious woods and flowering trees, diverse marine species, and the engaging world-class sport of competitive fishing. The historical significance of the short-lived Catholic University of Santo Tomás de Villanueva in Havana. A tour through the island's interior, which takes us to the historical city of Cienfuegos on Cuba's south coast, and its famous rowing regattas. And to beautiful Varadero Beach on the north coast, including its interesting history and nautical activities. And finally, an essay on the importance of architect Nicolás Quintana as an innovator in Cuban architecture and his impactful career as a professor and philosopher in exile. Section 3. Roots of Patrimony. This section deals with the fates and fortunes of several immigrant families to Cuba. It emphasizes their contributions to the Republic's prosperity due to the force and creativity of the immigrant thrust factor in a free market economy. In total, 18 successful families are included, either in detailed essays or in short biographical mentions spread throughout the chapters. Included in detailed essays are the Larreas from Benquerencia, Galicia, Spain; the González de Mendoza from Badajoz, Spain, founders of many branches of important Cuban families; the Francas from Spain; the Sarrás from Malgrat de Mar, Catalonia, Spain, including Drogueria Sarrá in the Old City. And La Calle Dos, the Sarrá family mansion in the Vedado neighborhood. The Riveros from Spain, owners of the influential Diario de la Marina newspaper. The Arrechavalas from Gordejuela, Spain, and their Havana Club rum. The Párragas from Galicia, Spain. The Lobos from Curaçao, West Indies, highly influential in the sugar industry. And the pioneering family of the García Menocals from Cantabria, Spain. Also included throughout the book are short biographical mentions of 9 other immigrant families, which complete the list of families mentioned in the book. The Silvas from Spain, owners of Caguama in Varadero Beach. The Fowlers from Canada, owners of Central Narcisa in Havana Province. The Pedrosos from Spain, owners of Banco Pedroso in Havana. The Mejers from Hanover, German Confederation, owners of Colonia Mejer in Camagüey Province. The Latour Sanchez from Spain, owners of Central Santa Lucia in Oriente Province. The Sanchez Batista and Sanchez Laurent from Spain, owners of Central Senado in Camagüey Province. The Montalvos from Spain, descendants of the Count de Casa Montalvo and Cuban patriots. And the Permuys from Galicia, Spain, urban anti-communist fighters and human rights activists. Section 4. Beyond Courage. This section addresses several incidents that amply justify the existence of Cuba as a free nation. The loss of freedom due to a communist revolution that put an end to the Republic of Cuba in 1959 created a profound existential crisis for an entire nation. This provoked whole generations to feats of courage that ennoble the Cuban spirit. It includes several powerful topics: the daring smuggling of a holy relic, a replica statue of the Virgin of Charity, the patroness of Cuba, from communist Cuba to the freedom of Miami in 1961. The harrowing and emotional descriptions of the Bay of Pigs landings in 1961, including combatant Mario Martinez Malo's heart-wrenching testimonials. The arrival of Brigada 2506 prisoners to Dinner Key in Miami in 1963, and a distressing account of their prison experiences in Cuba, as recounted by brave teenage combatant Frank de Varona. And the significant generational consequences of the Bay of Pigs military operation in 1961, as described by the close relationship between infantryman Rafael Montalvo Gutierrez and his 13-year-old grandson, a 2015 prize-winning student from Belén Jesuit High School in Miami. And we never heard the thunder, a life marked by momentous changes and the Cuban Revolution, by Luis Meher Sarra, a book for the ages that brings back to life a disappeared but unforgettable world, cherished by many, that thrived once in the Caribbean Sea within our American continent. With almost 400 pages, 32 chapters in 4 sections, 78 images, and many historical references and details, this revealing book is an in-depth, personal, and universal journey through La República de Cuba and the terrible consequences following its loss of freedom in 1959. A valuable addition to your library.